Hi, I'm Gretchen Bruner, creator of the Speaker Training System, author, speaker producer, and speaker trainer. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can get more speaking gigs and why that's important. First of all, when you have more speaking opportunities, you have greater impact, you have greater influence, and you can grow your business exponentially. I want to start off by sharing the benefits of speaking. First of all, when you're on stage, you can build trust because you are the expert. You are seen as the expert when you're on stage. That's instant credibility. That also enables you to have the ability to reveal your personality, which leads to not having to do that hard sell. Because when you're up on stage, talking about your business, being who you are, people become automatically attracted to you because that passion is going to be attractive to them because they want to know more about you. You obviously have a greater reach, and what I think is most important, you're able to add a lot of value because you're in front of a larger audience talking about important messages that they're going to need and want to hear. I was recently at an event, in fact, and 5 out of the 6, if not all 6 of the speakers from the main stage talked about how speaking is the fastest way to grow your business. Some of you might have some questions about how the speaking industry works or how, to get gigs, and is it hard? And I want to talk about a story that a friend of mine just called me recently. She was invited to do a keynote and she had 2 questions. The first was, she said, Gretchen, how do you get paid as far as now it's less than 30 days out to the event? Do I ask for everything up front? Do I take a deposit? How does that work? The second question that she had was, is travel included, or how to include it if she was going to travel first class, business, or coach? So the first answer to the question as far as about getting paid, because this gig was less than 30 days out, my recommendation to her was go ahead and take it all in one lump sum. What is typical in the industry, however, is to get 50% up front, and then the week before, sometimes the day of, you get the balance due. The caveat being that if you wait to get paid on the day of the event, the last thing you want to do is sort of be chasing down a crazy event host that's super busy and frazzled trying to chase down your check. So ideally, you get 50% at least 30 days in advance of your speaking opportunity, with the balance due a week before the event. As far as her travel question was considered, if you are keynoting, certainly it's understandable that if you're traveling, they should be paying for your expenses. This is all part of the negotiations. And you want to give a breakdown of price between first class, business, and coach, because you don't want to be springing them on they've got a $3,000 price difference between a coach ticket and a first class ticket. But it is acceptable if you were going to be traveling in business. Also, if you think about speaking and you actually get paid to travel all these other places, even on cruise ships, so it's a great opportunity to see the world and get paid to do it. I want to move on to some other questions or challenges that many people face that you might have too in getting gigs. One of the first challenges is this idea of time, not enough time. Certainly, all of us in our own businesses are spending time on growing our businesses, and the time away from that to researching, prospecting, and pitching for gigs is a concern. There's this feeling of overwhelm because now you're taking on another part of growing your business, and that's through speaking. Not to mention, some of you may not know where to start or how to start. Those of you who are already speaking, but you want to get to the next level, how do you do that? There's a common one of bombing on stage. Like, is that the fear that's holding you back from speaking because you're afraid that you're going to bomb on stage? Everybody has done it at least once in their speaking career. It's a fabulous learning opportunity. It's not something to be afraid of. Just say, check that off the list, and I already did it. Maybe those of you who are working as a speaker now, but you're doing the free gigs, well, you're trying to figure out, well, how do I jump to the paid gigs? Some speakers when they start out, are kind of afraid of what will people think of me, like sort of how dare you think of yourself as good enough to be on stage. And those of you who may not have a speaker reel or a one sheet, or you may not even have a product to sell, and if those are the things that are keeping you from speaking. Maybe you're like me when I started. So I went on a life-changing trip, and I wrote a book, and I knew I had a message in me. I knew I wanted to speak. I knew I wanted to make a difference, have an impact, reach a larger audience, but I was scared. I was scared not only of speaking, but I was scared because I didn't really understand the process. So I learned it. So for me, I went on a life-changing trip, like I said, it turned into a book, and that led to speaking. But when I had spent all this time learning how to be the speaker and looked around for, okay, now that I know how to be the speaker, how do I get on stage? And I couldn't find anything. So I looked and I scoured the internet and I understood the business and I learned how to get those speaking opportunities, which paid off. I ended up speaking internationally. I got TV, radio. I was featured in a national magazine on the front page of a travel section of the 8th largest newspaper to promote my book and my message. Soon I had actually clients, people asking me like, you seem to have a lot of momentum. How did you do that? The first one actually being my husband. It's coming to me, can you help me get speaking gigs? And in 6 weeks, I was able to get him 7 gigs, including a keynote. That's not, for everybody, it depends on your message and where you're looking for opportunities. But I had a line of people asking me, can you produce me? Can you manage my speaking? Some clients paying me up to $15,000 to promote them for speaking. And before I realized it, I had more work that I can handle. It actually totally affected my health. I had to let my clients go. What was so frustrating though is because I still knew how to help them, I just couldn't do it myself. In thinking about that, let me ask you, what's holding you back from speaking? Some people of the clients that I've worked with, they say, I'm not ready. And what does that actually mean? Does that mean your message isn't ready? You haven't rehearsed enough? You don't feel like you know what your big idea might be? Perhaps you feel like speaking is so competitive that, why get into that big mess? I will tell you, speaking is far less competitive in many ways than it used to be. The old world of speaking certainly was the live events on the big main stage. Yes, that's still very competitive if you were planning on being on the biggest stages in the industry. However, the new world of speaking has opened up so many more speaking opportunities because of virtual stages. Obviously, your webinars, your teleseminars, there's conference calls. That's a form of speaking. So there's no reason to think that it's so competitive because in many ways it's a lot less competitive. Maybe you're feeling that getting gigs is hard. Getting gigs is hard if you, 1, don't have a system or a strategy or a campaign in place, or 2, you don't understand the steps that it takes to get those speaking gigs. Perhaps you feel like I'm not ready because I don't have speaker marketing, I don't have a one sheet, I don't have a reel. Don't let that stop you because it's done in conjunction with, in parallel with, because as you speak more, your message gets refined, you get video footage, you get those headshots, and you work all that stuff into your speaker marketing. Many people feel overwhelmed with the idea of how to do the speaking, but there's steps to making it easy and simple and ways that you can get to those gigs that are on your target list. Some people feel like it's obviously the time suck that, again, ties into the overwhelm and how am I going to do that with my business? And do I have the money to invest in speaking, which isn't a lot, and I will tell you. So when you're looking for gigs, here are some places that you might get tripped up, or you might, I hate to use the word fail, but this is where, the kind of the rubber hits the road kind of thing. Is there are speakers out there who think, I know my message, I know my business, I don't need to rehearse. This is a problem because this is a trip up where they feel like I don't need to rehearse, I don't need to be ready, so they're not prepared. Some speakers also trip up at not taking every speaking gig seriously, which means they discount it because it's just a little tiny networking group, or maybe it's a book club, but you never know who's in the room. I've seen it 100 times. It's a small group you don't really give much credence to, and there's one person in the room that opens up a whole nother world of speaking. As I started out, this is my mistake you can learn from. I pitched myself, which is fine in the beginning, but it is not a sustainable model to grow your speaking, and here's why. First, keeping the gigs consistent in your funnel will take time and effort, and that will take you away from your other parts of your business. As you're getting started, that's totally acceptable and you can do it. But as your speaking grows with the number of gigs, maintaining it as yourself is not sustainable. Not to mention the second reason, which is you look less professional. Again, from personal experience, hire Gretchen, she's great. Contact Gretchen for more information. You just don't look as professional. Many speakers won't know what questions to ask their speaking host. The reason this is a problem is because the more questions you ask, the more you have an understanding of what their needs are. And when you can solve their needs, the host's needs, you look like a rock star. They'll ask you back for more speaking. Another area where people trip up is they don't actually sit down and make a target list of speaking gigs. Why is this a mistake? Because when you don't have a target list, you're sort of flying by the seat of your pants, you're kind of, ad hoc in your speaking, you don't have a focus, and you won't have a plan. The last part I can think about is speakers will miss opportunities because they don't understand the timing and calendaring of events. Because on the big stages, they're looking for speakers 9, 12, sometimes 18 months in advance. And if you don't know that and they're only accepting speaker applications one time a year, you'll miss that. It's a missed opportunity for you. Of course, the biggest area that people kind of trip up on is they don't understand actually how to find the gigs and get paid for them. Why do I tell you all this? Because when I started out speaking, I didn't have all this information. I didn't have this help. And the mistakes that I learned, you will benefit from. There wasn't a system to really teach me how to go out and do quality research and to do pitching that will have an open rate that will get me the more speaking gigs. Between the mistakes that I made and the training that I've done between the tens and thousands of dollars on being the speaker, not to mention the colossal amount of time in understanding and learning this business, that's where you can benefit. Again, maybe you're kind of like me, where I spent tens of thousands of dollars of learning how to be the speaker. I spent time understanding the importance of story or physicality on stage or joining a Toastmasters. But maybe you've done all those things too, and those are, I'm not discounting them, they're very important. Story, physicality, that stuff will make you a great, $25,000 keynote speaker. But in getting you to the next level of speaking, of how do you actually get to those stages? Most trainings teach you a very high level kind of treetop view of this is how you go get speaking gigs, but this is how you be the speaker. And they spend all that time again talking about those other areas which are important. But if you have everything you know to be the speaker, but you're actually not on stage, then what good does it do for you? Since I couldn't find anything when I was looking to get on speaking, that's when I spent the time and the money and the investment and the tens of thousands of dollars in understanding on how to get these speaking gigs. And I got the process down, and it worked. Like I said, I got keynotes, I spoke internationally, I had lines of clients, and that part of where I transitioned my business into training you as the talent, or even better, you as the talent's admin on how to get those speaking gigs. I call this program Get Paid Speaking Gigs. It goes deep and it tells you all the back doors and the secrets of how to find the speaking gigs. The Get More Speaking Gigs program is simple and it follows a framework, and I call it the 4G framework. And it gets me focused and energized on how to really get my message out there and how to grow your business. So the first G is you get the gigs. So we talk about that in the training on how to actually get the gigs. The second G is giving value, because from stage, that is the most critical point of delivering great value to your audience, because that builds connection, that builds sales, because people will want to buy from you, and that definitely gets to that point of the third G of growing your business, and fourth G is gaining momentum. So what you'll learn in the Get Paid Speaking Gigs training is a 5-module online course, and I want to take you through each module briefly so you understand what it's actually all about. So module 1 is about research, and we start with research because it's fundamental to the success of your speaking. We start by the importance of knowing your audience. Many people think, I already know my audience. We talk about it anyway, because if you are speaking in front of the wrong audience, your message will land flat, you won't be able to sell anything, you won't have any connection, so it'll be a waste of your time. We talk about where to actually find the speaking gigs, because certainly all of us are familiar with it, kind of the big stage speaking, but we talk about the other areas of where you can find the speaking gigs, both free and paid, because there's value obviously in both. And then it's the this other part of the research of how to actually do it. Module 2, we actually continue with research because it is so important. We talk about qualifying the events, which is understanding your audience and now qualifying the event, meaning is this audience, this event right for you? So we talk about the ticket price, understanding the outcomes of the organizer because that's important for you to know. The list of your 100 target speaking opportunities. Again, this gives you a total strategy and where you're going with your speaking. And lastly, in the research of Module 2, we talk about the timing and calendaring of events. Again, you don't want to miss those opportunities, especially if they only happen once a year. Module 3, we talk about the pitching and prospecting. So we cover how to craft an effective pitch, what to say in a pitch. We go over tracking your prospects and staying organized because it's super easy to become disorganized, and the reason that's a problem is because then you don't follow up. Follow up is critical to keeping your speaking funnel full. And lastly, there's some sample pitches that will help you get started to contact those event hosts. Module 4, we talk about your speaker marketing. So we cover your one sheet. This is the really exciting part. I have spent time with a graphic designer. For those of you who may be familiar with the speaker one sheet, it's really industry jargon for it's a marketing piece for you. But sort of the starting price when you go out to get a professional speaker one sheet done, it's about $500. I've spent time with a graphic designer. She's come up with a template. And the reason this is so exciting is because you take this template, you send it off to Fiverr, and you say drop in your headshot, your talking points, your bio, your testimonials, your points of credibility, and it's a fluid document that you can send off to Fiverr and not have to go out and spend $500. We talk about your speaker reel, and this is the chicken and an egg. I know some of you think I haven't been speaking, so I don't have a recording of me speaking. Then it's I need a speaker reel so that I can get speaking. We talk about how to bridge that as a new speaker, and that understanding your speaker reel along with your speaker one sheet is fluid, and it will always be evolving because you as a speaker is evolving. That's what's so exciting about this. We also cover your talking points, your bio, and really your speaker website and how to have an online presence and why that's important. In Module 5, we talk about speaker contracts and agreements. And I want to pause here and tell you that this is so important. I've spent time and money meeting with an attorney. Call in an attorney hourly fee of $750, coming up with a sample or a template of a speaker contract and agreement. Why is this so important? I knew a speaker that was invited to keynote, and 30 days out, in advance of the event, he was asking for his 50% deposit, like we talked at the beginning. And the event host was saying, "Oh yeah, your check's in the mail, check's in the mail." Another 2 weeks went by. He inquired again. Yep, check's in the mail. So the speaker went out and bought probably $1,500 worth of swag, of marketing materials specific to this event. With less than a week to the event date, he's calling the host, and the event host says, "So sorry, we've canceled the event." So not only is the speaker out his speaking fee, but that extra $1,500 that he spent on the marketing event, and he didn't have a contract in place. So this part is so exciting, and it's so important to me that you have that protection for you, for your message, for your business. We also talk about panels and why they're important and what you should consider about them. It kind of ties into boundaries of being a speaker. We cover obviously making money from stage and how the best ways to do that. Many of you might be thinking this is all great. What else is involved, or what does it cost? When I was considering this program and thinking back to what I learned and what's out there, I wanted to make something that was affordable because I know what it's like to be starting with your speaking and when you're really growing all the other areas of your business. And I wanted to be as fair as possible because this is a huge advantage that you have to be a speaker as an expert, an entrepreneur, a small business owner. And that's what's so key about this. If you are a small business owner or an expert or an entrepreneur, I want you to be able to have the finances and the focus to spend on your business as well as your speaking. There are event planners out there that are dying to have you come and speak. It ties right into, again, that old world versus new world speaking. And I wanted to make something affordable so that you can get out there and start getting those speaking gigs. I understand that some of you also may be involved with masterminds. I know I was in trying to understand the speaking industry and then being a speaker. Masterminds cost, we probably both know, $5,000 up to $20,000 or more. A one sheet is starting $500. That attorney that we mentioned earlier, that's $750 an hour to review a contract. But what I get so excited is that you won't have to spend that kind of time or that kind of money. Why? Because the Get More Speaking Gigs training, it saves you time because you're going to learn what I had to learn by process of mistakes. You're going to learn those exact steps to take to get you to the next level of speaking. It's priced so well so that you can get your ROI, your return on investment, back in 2 small speaking gigs, meaning there's speaking gigs at those service groups like Kiwanis, Rotary, Lions, networking groups. It comes with that speaker one sheet template so that you can just send it right off to Fiverr and say, do this, this, and this. We talk about, again, that you get a speaker contract, that's $750 value that you can get. It comes with a speaker workbook that says, has template and prospect, your tracking lead, all the resources. It has a list of places that people are looking for typically for speakers, not to mention email pitch scripts. It has a lead tracker in the training, and a lead tracker, why this is important, because in talking, remember we talked about your list of 100, well, you'll start to collect all your leads, your funnel will get busy, it'll get full. You need a way to be able to track that for best organization, for best follow through. You get that. We talk about when is the best time to do a pitch, how to get paid, because some of you are doing the free speaking gigs and want to make it, to the paid level. If you're already getting paid, how do you get paid more? You get a Q&A interview, kind of a PDF that I've met with the CEO of a speaker bureau, because many of you might be going, when do I use a speaker agency or speaker bureau? So I interviewed a CEO of a bureau. You will have those questions of what to expect or what to look for should you be considering working with one. Not to mention a whole host of other resources. This special and unique offer comes with a great bonus. Do you remember we talked about in our speaker marketing that your online presence of a speaker website? This unique offer, you get a speaker bio website, which means you'll get one with a landing page. It has the ability to host your speaker one sheet, not to mention a portfolio page where you can put all your speaker videos. From the research that I have done, online or other trainings out there start typically at $997 and go up to $1997. Again, when I was doing this for private clients, they were paying me sometimes up to $15,000 to pitch them for speaking gigs. The trainings that I've seen out there don't give you that one sheet sample. They don't give you that speaker contract or agreement sample, which will save you a lot of pain and heartache. This training comes with a speaker training guide and a speaker workbook, both full of resources on how to get speaking gigs. This training has been offered before for $997, but with this special offer, because I'm so excited to get you out there, it's $497. If somebody had come to me when I was starting and said, Gretchen, this training is $497, I would have jumped at it. This is a great deal. It takes you through all of the process of how to get the gigs. It gives you all those templates. It gives you those sample pitches. You get that website started so that you can have a landing page with your speaker one sheet and your reel. If you're still wondering why this training is good, take a look at the testimonials below, because I will tell you, I've had speakers, the talent, come to me and say, I'm so excited because I've already quadrupled my keynotes or my speaking. I have had admins and assistants come to me and say, thank you so much for this training because I am now so much more confident. I know what I'm doing. Not to mention, as an admin or an assistant, you become more valuable because the talent is able to offload this part of their business to you and you'll be able to do it successfully. Maybe some of you think, Gretchen, this doesn't solve my problem. If your problem is 1, not getting enough speaking gigs, or 2, having some gigs but wanting to get more on a consistent basis or at a higher level, this will help you do that. Maybe you think that you can't do this. You can't do this training. Maybe it's too hard. It's not hard. This is not rocket science. It will take effort that is consistent and ongoing, but the steps tell you exactly what to do. Maybe you think that this isn't the right choice for you. Maybe you think, Gretchen, there's other training out there. And there is, but why this training I think is so good is because it tells you the most critical part to being a successful speaker, which is how to get the gigs. And we talked about making it affordable, because if you got 2 gigs at Alliance or Kiwanis, which often pay $250, you've already made your money back. Not to mention that the fact that there are gigs out there that start easily at $500 or $1,000. Maybe you think it's that thing we talked about earlier, that you're not ready and you don't need it now. This is why I can't stress this point enough. If you wait to be ready to speak, to get this training, to think I can go get the speaking gigs because you're waiting to perfect everything, many people have made that mistake. They think my message isn't ready, I need to make that ready. I need to get my speaker marketing perfected. This is all done in parallel because the research, pitching, prospecting for gigs will take some time. And again, that you learn that because the timing and calendaring events. There's a lead time to certain events. Obviously, the smaller stages have a shorter lead time. The bigger stages have a longer lead time. So don't make that mistake of saying, I don't need this now, because if you wait, you'll only be that much farther behind. And I don't want that to happen for you. So to recap, for $497, it's a 5 online module training course. We talk about the researching, the prospecting, the pitching, your speaker marketing, how to sell from stage, the speaker contracts and agreements, panels, boundaries. You get the training guides, you get the sample speaker one-sheet template, you get the speaker agreement contracts as well. You get the Q&A, it's a PDF interview with the Speaker Bureau CEO. You also get that total head start on having a website where you have a landing page where you can put your one sheet and your portfolio of videos. Lastly, you also get the steps to make a killer keynote. I'm so excited about this. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. I want you to get in the game now. And the reason this is so important is because not only will speak and grow your business exponentially, I've seen it happen again and again and again, but more importantly is for you as a person, as a confidence builder, as a leader. Getting on more stages, getting more speaking will make you have the credibility and that impact that you want to make a difference in the world. And if you think about, this is my challenge for you, think about every single room you walk into, whether it's a coffee shop, a restaurant, a conference room, your office. Walk in as if you're already that $25,000 keynote speaker. See how you hold yourself. Act that already out. And think about what an extra $1,000, $5,000, even $10,000 a month will do for you and your financial freedom and what that gives you, because you'll be bringing that in from speaking. I want you to do what's necessary to fulfill that dream. And if that dream is about growing your business, having an impact, having greater influence, exponentially making a difference, that's what speaking can do for you. I'm guessing, like me, you have been in an audience where you have sat in that chair listening to a speaker and thought, that should be me up there. I know that that's happened to me a number of times. Don't be that person. Be that speaker. Get in the game. Make that difference. For $497, this will help you get there faster than you can even imagine. And then you can start really thinking about what your life will look like with that extra income, that extra impact, that extra influence, and with the fun of connecting with people all over the world from speaking. I cannot wait to see you on stage. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Buy your training today for $497. Click the link. I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see you on stage. Thank you.